morning, everyone. Today is the first day of the June. I feel like it's been a long time we post up the new lesson, and some student might wonder, are we going to have a lot of topics whatsoever? And since we're actually approaching to the end of the year, so we do have topics. It's actually we're supposed to have more, but definitely the time doesn't allow us to continue more. But so actually teaching piece will end soon, and also you will know very soon for this week regarding the rest of the year is actually this month, the plan of this month. So please stay tuned to check Google Classroom for new announcements. Let's check the topic today. So before we start the new topic, I want to quickly review the things we mentioned before. So before we actually discuss how do we use this kind of equation to determine the certain value, such as amplitude, period, or midline, to determine how do we graph this function. So for example, if I have a function like 3 sine pi x plus 1, then certain things we know that. So first we know the amplitude, which is 3. So the meaning from the highest to the lowest is from the highest to the midline is going to be 3. The distance is 3. And also midline is going to be y equals to 1. Okay, but please do not forget that it's y equals. So it's going to be a line. And also for the period, so some student might say, is that pi? Because that's the only number left. It's actually related to pi. So this number tells us frequency. I don't know if you still remember that. So number in front of this frequency and also the period and also the frequency is 2 pi over pi, so which is 2. So if we have this information, that some student might wonder, then how does it help us? It actually helps us to draw the equation, draw the function. So first of all, let's locate the middle position here. We know the midline is 1. So this is going to be up and down all about this line, right? And then we know the amplitude is 3, so we go up by 3 units. And we go down by 3 units. So we're going to go along from this one. And also we know the period is 2, so that means one wave. Let's say this is one wave here. One wave is going to be 2, so that means the graph, and also it's the sign, so starting with the middle, go highest, go lowest, and then touch this. So you see it's easily to get the draft idea of how the wave looks like. Okay, so that's basically a quick review. So today we are going to use some real-life examples to we see the modeling of the trigonometric function to see how do we link to this one to see some real-life problem. Let's check the examples here. First, the tides in a particular bay can be modeled with an equation of this form. So it's a cosine wave, where t represents the number of the hours since the high tide and d represent the depth of the water in the bay. The maximum depth of water is 36. And also the minimum is 22. High tide is hit every 12 hours. So we are going to determine then these 3 numbers here. How do we write down the final equation? So as we know, the A starting off that is amplitude. So since it's a cosine wave, so let's just use a cosine wave to understand this. The amplitude is actually from the highest one to the middle line, midline position. So this is amplitude, or you can from this one to this. This is also amplitude. The idea we know is we know the maximum height, which is the highest one, 36, and we know the minimum is 22. So some students might wonder, so the amplitude is actually half of this distance. And what's this distance? This is actually 36 minus 22. So we know the wholly different, the whole distance here is actually 14, right? So since amplitude is actually half of that, so 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we know A is 7. So the first one we know. And then the B is going to be, remember, B is the frequency. So in order to find the frequency, so let's write down here, B is frequency. However, frequency is 2 pi over the period. So we need to know the period. What is the period here? High tide is hit every 12 hours. So meaning in order to hit the high 12. So you can see hit the highest one is going to be every 12 hours. So from the starting, another 12 hours is going to be here. So that means the period is actually 12 hours. Then in order to find the frequency, we just need to use 2 pi over 12. Let's simplify that, divided by 2, so it's going to be pi over 6. So we know B is pi over 6. Lastly, C is midline. So we already know the amplitude is 7. So you have two ways to look at this. So 7, you can go from 36 to minus 7. You get this is 29. Or you can from 22 to add 7 because it's the same distance to get this. So the C is going to be 29. So this equation, we can rewrite this as 7 cosine pi over 6. So it's T, because it's a time, plus 29. See, with this number now, we can even draw this by using calculator, right? So that's the one example. Let's check another one. Okay, so a sine function is increasing through the origin can be used to model light waves. Continue reason that this is a 400 nanometer over which is a wave decreasing. Okay, so we know the sine function is look like this. So you can actually, a lot of this idea probably is not really new to you because in physics you actually learn a lot of like wave, light wave, electricity wave, a lot of things regarding that, even, the first example. So for this one, we know it's a sine wave. And also we say has a wavelength. So this one is actually talking about, nanometer is just a unit here. It's talking about from here to here is 0 to 400. That's a way you can understand it. So that's how long, so the one cycle, or in another word is period. Okay, so we say which interval, meaning from 0 to 400, which part the height of the wave is decreasing. So the height of the wave is actually, you can see from the go up, then go down. So which part is decreasing? So we say from here to the highest one, then go down, 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 down to the lowest one, and then start increasing again. So that means this piece, the one I traced in red, is decreasing part. So the idea is, let's say I can draw the function. If I draw the function look like this way. So the idea is, what is this interval is the one we need to find the answer. So since we know this is 0 to 400, we can easily to break down this two pieces, this part as 4 pieces. So this, and this. This is actually the key points, as we mentioned, from the starting point to the highest one, and go back to the middle point, and go to the lowest one, and then go back to the middle point. So that's why you can easily divide this whole interval into 4 pieces. And now we know from the 100 here we reach the highest, and to the 300 we reach to the bottom. So that's why from this interval 100 to 300 it is decreasing, right? So that's our answer. Okay, so that's it. That's how do I that's 2 examples. There's definitely more examples here. You can also Google it to see more example, and later you will see more example, more questions in the exit ticket. I hope this video is helpful. Everyone stay healthy, stay safe. See you soon.